after our son was stillborn, we didn't immediately thought it was a story because it was very tragic and it was our own story, and we just wanted to figure out what happened, but for ourselves. And only once we started diving into this and we noticed there was a lot of weird stuff going on, that we thought, hey, it might be a story, but a very different story than only our personal story.
But we did not want to write a story against the midwives, because that would be too easy and would be, it's easy to abandon for critics. But we had to criticize ourselves all the time, constantly, like playing the devil's advocate.
And we also talked to a lot of colleagues because we were investigating for a long time, and people would say, you know what, just leave it be, just move on, it happened. Some people said it's God's will and that sort of thing. And they almost felt like we were obsessed, and we thought, no, there's something bigger going on and we really need to check it out because we feel it's really important.
The fact that it happened to us personally gave us this strength and perseverance to continue, where other people, or even myself in another situation, would have stopped and thought, okay, now I have the story, or there is no story.
Yeah.
Now we continue. So this obsession really gave us the strength to make this story and just the way it is. And that really made a difference. So I think for journalism in general, we have to be some more obsessed every now and then to really get this story. The traditional system in the Netherlands, you have, like they call it the first line and a second line. So and then when there's nothing wrong with you as a pregnant woman, you go to the midwife. And only when there's something medical going on, then you were referred to the gynecologist. That sounds pretty good, but the midwife is paid until he or she sends you to the hospital, and then she loses you as a client. So there are some perverse triggers or interests that keep her from doing that too early. And she's also like midwives really believe in the physiology of birth, and then that makes it even more, sometimes, not all of them, but it makes them more hesitant to send you to hospital, because hospitals are unnatural and it's bad. You get a lot of interventions, and it's really removing the romantic image from birth. But they want to change the system because their perinatal mortality in the Netherlands was relatively high, partly because of this situation.
We call that in Holland a pink cloud. They really want to keep you, they don't want to.
They don't make you too anxious,
yeah.
but the problem is, okay, I can imagine that you don't want to make them anxious, but the reason why is that then everybody would go to the hospital and they would lose their clients. And that's the thing you really have to tell, because that's what it's really about. It's not really about I don't want anxious women, but I want my clients. They still have to really enforce more structured collaboration between the midwives and gynecologists. And now they're sort of they can still decide whether they want to discuss a patient or a client with the gynecologist or not.
Right now, as a pregnant woman in Holland, you don't have the same care everywhere. So some of them do work according to this integrated birth care model, and some of them don't, which means you get different kinds of care.
You don't know. You just don't know.
And you don't know. It depends on where you live, and that's a situation where we feel it would have been good if the Ministry of Health would have really pushed towards the system.
Yeah.
But right now it's on a voluntary basis. Well, now we started immediately with the gynecologist, actually two, in the hospital. And we get a lot of extra checkups, like extra ultrasounds, some extra...
Which is, like in a lot of other countries, like in the US, quite regular.
Yeah, normal.
But for the Netherlands, this is special.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a lot of expats in Amsterdam. They all go to certain midwife practices where they do extra checkups. And the other things we also do is like taking a lot more attention to the movements in the belly, because now in the Netherlands they don't really tell you a lot about that, how important it is to feel your baby every day, and every baby is different, but they all have their patterns, and if it goes down or up, then there might be something wrong. So we're very aware of that, but we're also saying that all the time to other people on social media, but also to friends, and like, be aware and don't play with it. Don't think, oh, it will be fine, because that's the syndrome that we're suffering from. It's gonna be fine. Everybody thinks it will happen to someone else, and then suddenly it happens to you.
You would have either a story from parents who suffered a stillbirth and that's it, and it was very sad and personal, and you would have the stories on perinatal mortality.
Perinatal mortality.
Yeah, and you would have these stories which are all about statistics, about debates, about these numbers we have are actually pretty perfect, we're not doing too bad, but you didn't have parents or the babies inside these stories. So these stories would not get the attention.
Yeah, not touch.
Yeah, they would not touch the people. And we combined those two with the discussion on the system, and that made the story so much bigger and more understandable and relatable to the public.